So you asked about Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio, man, is an enigma. And I don't think that, you know, you could have brought Rey over in mainstream wrestling in the 70s. I dare say even maybe the 80s. Because I don't know that people were ready for Rey Mysterio. Rey, man,
Broke the
in a
mold.
whole different class.
Yeah.
He's just different. And Paul Heyman, I remember the call, man. He goes, bringing in Eddie Guerrero, bringing in Rey Mysterio, bringing in Psychosis, I think it was, and they set that place on fire.
Yeah.
It was so different, but yet, you look at it and go, oh man, that couldn't break an egg, but you couldn't look away either. And Rey was able to, the psychology of Rey Mysterio, where he was able to make you believe against any odds, no matter the size, that he can find a way around it and find a way to win. And he's the ultimate underdog that everyone in the crowd, looks at and goes, man, you know what? I can relate to that guy, and I believe him. I want to see him win. I want to help him. And find it hard to believe you could ever turn Rey Mysterio a heel and in the business and life in general. Um, just a wonderful, wonderful human being. But man, he adapted. I was like, all right, you don't believe I can do this. I'm going to show you that I can do it. And then I'll make you a believer. And Rey has been able to do that time and time and time again. So he proves, doesn't matter how big you are, I can overcome. And even with a mask, probably, we would always say, oh, well, the mask hides the expression. Rey Mysterio gets more expression and more feeling and emotion with his facials than a lot of guys that, without a mask. It's Rey knows how to sell. Rey knows how to show you when he's happy. He knows how to get you behind him when he's hurting, and is one of the most extraordinary talents in general. Mask, luchador, whatever. Just one of the most incredible talents I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. Um, Beyond, there will never be another Rey Mysterio. There will be other luchadors and there will be other great stars that are not the biggest guys in the world. There will never be another Rey Mysterio. They made the mold and they broke the mold with him. And so much of that has to do with who Rey is. And he was able to come over here and make people accept it.
So, Bruce, let's talk about some other masked men. Let's talk about the Destroyer. Let's go old school. We went real modern with Rey Mysterio. Let's kick it old school with the Destroyer, Dick Beyer. Man, what an impact he had, not only here in America, but over in Japanese culture as well. I think he was like the first man to wrestle in Japan with a mask on back in the 60s. Do I have that right?
That is correct. He was also the first American babyface in Japan. He became a huge babyface in Japan, and they respected his Dick Beyer. Dick Beyer from Buffalo, New York, was a tremendous amateur wrestler, great amateur wrestler. Broke into the business, and I think Vern might have had something to do with breaking him into the business. But Dick was a tremendous amateur. Dick took the business very seriously, and he was also one of the first guys to really monetize and figure out how to merchandise his gimmick. Dick would go in, and he had in the old Norman Keizer magazines, Dick would have a ad in there where you could get a Destroyer mask. I've got one in the other room in my other office in there. And you could buy the mask and you would get an 8x10 autograph picture of the intelligent, sensational Destroyer. So I've got a question for you, Conrad. Let's see how we're going to test your wrestling knowledge here. What other character did Dick Beyer portray underneath a mask, a different mask? Do you know?
Dr. X.
That is correct.
Yeah, I only know that because I was at a Cauliflower Alley Club years ago when they were putting Larry the Outstanding in, and Larry gave a hell of a speech. He was cracking everybody up, but he was from the podium. He was making fun of Dick Beyer, saying,
Oh, yeah.
because Dick was there. This is before Dick passed. And he's like, Dick Meyer's running around with that fucking mask. I saw him at the urinal. Like, we don't know you're the Destroyer, Dr. X. It's fucking Dick Beyer. God damn it. And the whole place died laughing because this is an elderly man still wearing the mask. And I don't know, Larry calling him out was funny, but I only know that from Larry the Axe Handler.
So up until a few years before his death, Dick used to come to the shows when we'd have TV and we would run a live event in Buffalo. And he would come in his mask.
I love it so much.
And always bring his bag.
Just in
always
case.
Bring your gear. Doesn't matter if you're working or not. Always bring your gear.
Hang on. Is that advice directly from Bruce Prichard? Always bring your gear?
Always bring your gear.
So hypothetically, as folks are listening to this, when you're at Monday Night Raw tonight, somewhere in your luggage, is there a Brother Love suit? I mean, are you always bringing your gear?
If Brother Love were alive, he would.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't realize he'd been killed off.
No,
okay.
he's dead. He's dead. Better than Kelsey's nuts.
So his last appearance, just so I understand, because I don't want to move on from this. Brother Love's last appearance was on the anniversary of Raw. That was it.
Whenever that was.
Oh no, that was a cinematic match. Y'all were running around the Titan Tower. Brother Love was in there.
Well, that was just me because I was dressed that I just wore that suit.
You wore a white suit that day. I get it.
Yeah. But always bring your gear. And Dick would come in. He had a little gym bag.
Yes.
And Dick came in and would always come in and sit in the dressing room with the mask on, say hello to everybody. And that, if you're watching on YouTube, is exactly what he would wear. The red mask and the little Destroyer shirt, and would always bring his gear, man. And however old he was when he passed and left us, he probably could have had a hell of a match right up until the end. He was just that good, and he was old school. I met him for the first time in Houston. He had a trainee by the name of Mark Reagan, and it was during the break dancing where they would dance on the cardboard box, right?
Yeah.
And Mark was a great break dancer and also an incredible athlete and talent. So Dick was basically taking him around and to different territories and trying to get him booked. And they worked in Houston, and we went out to Benihana afterwards. And it was one of the best nights I ever had because you got this older gentleman. And the other best part about Dick Beyer.
Didn't he wear the mask to the steak?
No, he did not. No, okay. He did not. Okay. But this is the other best part about Dick Byers. He bleached his hair blonde.
Okay.
So he has this fucking like yellow bleached blonde hair. And again, an older gentleman with Mark and myself and Bill Dundee. I'm sitting there looking at this.
What a crew.
Yeah, it's crazy. So the mask guy bleaches his hair. Because he's a heel, damn it. And but it was one of the most entertaining evenings. God, I had so much fun that night, and would see him. Then I saw him a lot more once I went to New York and frequented Buffalo. Just a great guy and a hell of a talent. But he was able to take the intelligent, sensational Destroyer, and pretty much huge star in LA. Toronto, like to work up, around the Buffalo area and what have you. Couldn't work, like in New York City because of the mask ban. So he just, I'll go work up here. And did that, worked for Vern as Dr. X. And how he made people think, okay, well, this isn't the Destroyer. He had this like black kind of patch over his nose and everything that covered up his nose in the Dr. X mask. But same work and everything. But yeah, he took himself pretty seriously, and took that mask and took that gimmick very seriously and protected it as best he could. But again, he was also a guy that once you got out of there, if he was in the arena, he kept that mask on. But once you got out of the arena, the mask came off, and and he was just dick. And
I'll be honest, I didn't know how much that would actually work, just covering the nose up. So I just threw it in my Google machine.
Yeah.
My God, back in the day,
right?
I would have believed that was a different human being, because Dick had such a distinctive nose.
Yes.
As soon as you see his nose, you're like, oh, well, that's Dick Beyer. That's the
Destroyer. So he covered up the nose. The other thing he did is he wore the tank top on it as well.